Good morning. On behalf of the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, welcome to this special edition of Common Grounds, where a lot can happen over coffee. This platform has gained over 45,000 views to date, and today we're joined by our candidates running for elected office for Ames Board of Trustees and District 6 School Board. Welcome, candidates. We're so happy to have you with us. My name is Jamie Henning, and I'm the president of the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, proudly representing over 700 businesses in the Greeley area, working to advance our main objective, establishing Greeley as the best place to do business. We're a strong, unified voice with regional reach, and our ability to collaborate and build consensus sets us apart. Our main goal is to help our investors succeed and advance the needs of commerce. One of the most important ways we do this is through advocacy, which is why you're all here today. We know businesses matter, which is why we proactively monitor policies that could adversely affect them, working closely with our elected leaders at the local level to connect on the needs of business, community, and on important issues affecting them. We're there with our businesses every step of the way, and we want to ensure the business voice is heard. Our businesses make the quality of life better for thousands of Coloradans. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce our co-chair of the Local Government Business Affairs Committee, or LEGBAC, Vernice Thomas of United Way, who's helping me host this forum today for a few comments. Vernice, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Jamie, for your introduction. And welcome to the candidates who've decided to run for office this year. As a former elected official, I know that it's a difficult decision to make, and many times and many items need to be considered before declaring one's candidacy. To be here today, it means that you have evaluated the time commitment, the juggling of your roles as a school board member or a trustee, with your commitments to your family, to your profession, to your friends, and your many, many other responsibilities. No matter if you win or lose this election, you have accomplished something that many others have not. You have personally stepped out of your comfort zone. You are allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and you have placed yourself in a position where every move and decision that you make will be analyzed over and over again. Personally and sincerely, I admire all of you for deciding to run for office. My role today, though, is to welcome you on behalf of LEGBAC, the Local Government Business Affairs Committee. We are a subcommittee under the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce. We're a nonpartisan committee that is committed to assisting our local businesses and creating an environment that enables them to succeed. To do so, we need a strong, educated, and productive workforce. Education is the foundation for our success. We all know that. The lessons that we learn in school stay with us our entire lives. Not only the ability to read and write and do math, but also the ability to think and to comprehend the challenges that we're faced with and knowing how to meet those challenges. The culture and environment we are raised in will follow us and shape who we become and how we succeed or don't succeed. Therefore, we are interested in hearing what each one of you will bring to the table in order for our community to grow and to become stronger and to have a more productive workforce. So thank you again for being part of the solution. I wish you the best, and I appreciate all that you're doing for our community. Jamie?
Thank you so much, Vernice. We really appreciate it. Before we get started today, I want to just set a couple of housekeeping rules forward, and I've already shared these with the candidates. But each candidate will be given 3 minutes to tell us who they are and why they're running. Mandy's serving as our timer, so please make sure to watch your watch. If you do run over time, I'll just raise my hand like this so as not to be intrusive, but to let you know you've reached your time. We're going to go in alphabetical order, and then when we have the ensuing questions, we'll go in reverse order each time to ensure we're giving each candidate an open and fair chance to address each. Due to time constraints, we won't have a chance for rebuttals. So on the 3 questions I'm going to ask you, you'll have 1 minute each to answer those. And again, we'll start top to bottom, bottom to top, and back top to bottom for that 3rd question. The Chamber prides itself on our nonpartisan collaborative spirit, which was mentioned by Vernice. And we trust you'll join us in your discussion with the same approach and thoughtfulness. So we're excited to get started, and we're actually going to start with our Ames Board of Trustee members first. So each of them will get their 3 minutes to go ahead and share a little bit about themselves. And today we're going to start with Carl. So Carl, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey, well, thank you. And I guess I'll show my rookie status as a politician because I'd like to say hi to Marilyn. and I think she's an excellent candidate, well qualified. I just think we're different qualifications, and I've met her several times. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised on a farm near Eaton, Colorado. I'm a third-generation Weld County resident. Graduated from Eaton High School and had every intention of farming and being involved in agriculture with my dad and my brother. A lot of you folks here will remember the mid-1980s, the commodity prices, the interest rates were around 13%, and that quickly made farming untenable. I made my way to town for my second career, and I got hired by the Greeley Police Department. The first thing they did was put me through the Ames Academy. It was a full-time academy in the summer. Actually was valedictorian of that academy. And then I started my 30-year career with the police department. I moved to patrol, investigations, narcotics, was on the SWAT team, eventually wound up as a patrol watch commander. One thing I did while I was in the Greeley Police Department, I was the admin lieutenant and the admin sergeant, and I was in charge of budgeting, training, hiring for the entire department, a budget of $20 and $30 million. So I have a little bit of admin experience, and also managed several federal grants, several state grants, and local grants that we had to stay in compliance with. In 2015, I embarked on my third career, and my wife and I have a successful LLC. We manage residential rentals, and we're real estate investors. That's not as glamorous as it may seem. I'm in charge of everything from the 1031 real estate exchanges to garbage disposals. But I have strong roots as a independent businessman, pay my own insurance, write my own paycheck. Another thing you'll find with me is I'm quite tenacious. After getting knocked off track in the 80s, I moved to the Greeley Police Department, as I said. But then later on at age 30, I got my bachelor's degree. And after that, at age 42, I hung in there and I got my master's degree. I've been to the FBI National Academy, the Southern Police Institute, had a lot of experience on boards. But I got to tell you, the best way I learned how to run meetings, to participate, to cooperate, and collaborate was back at my high school FFA chapter, where we learned committee work, we learned leadership, we learned parliamentary procedure. That's a little bit about who I am.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your comments, Carl, and getting to know you a little better. Next, we will have Marilyn Shock, who is our other candidate running for Ames trustee board.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. It's always nice with relationships within the community. A little bit about me. I am a Wyoming native, but I feel like I'm almost that Colorado native as well. I've been here for 40 years, in Weld County for 22 years. I work in the world of healthcare. I've worked with both health systems in the northern region, with Greely, Loveland, and Fort Collins, and love what I get to do every day. I have a passion for healthcare. I am an occupational therapist by profession, so that's really my roots behind taking care of people. I now work in administration and again, love the opportunity for what I get to do. I have come through a lot of different chains in regards to why I'm here today. I really believe that the foundation of success, as Vernice said, is around education, really about what that looks like. It's certifications, it's the degrees, the diplomas, it's all of the pieces that help people become competent and knowledgeable. I believe knowledge is power. And so how do we continue to impart that with our community members at any age? And this is not just out of high school learners, this is adult learners, and it's all of the spectrum of being able to do that. I went to a community college in Wyoming. That's how I started. And I will tell you, the value really is what set my foundation. It is what got me from some basic leadership competencies, to wanting to learn, to being on boards, being on committees. And it's really about just that experience. But overall, it gave me that foundational knowledge that I needed to determine where I was going in life in a smaller setting And when I say smaller, it's just really about everything from classroom size to campus size. And Ames really does provide that. I also work with many people who have gone to Ames. Myself, I've also been a student at Ames. And the quality of person that comes out of the programming and the education is phenomenal. And I think that continues to provide and empower our community. When we talk about our businesses and having the right kind of person with the right kind of knowledge, Ames really does that. So my passion is around really being able to promote what Ames brings to that. And I think because of my experience in the world of growing up through different boards, committees, the education, I have my Bachelor of Science in Occupational Therapy and an MBA as well. So looking forward to the potential opportunity. And thank you for hosting this morning.
Absolutely. Marilyn, thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself. We're going to give you a chance to elaborate because we're going to start alphabetically in reverse order this time with our first question. And it is, tell us a little bit more about why you have decided to run for a seat on the Ames board and what makes you a strong asset. And you have 1 minute.
Okay. Decided to run. It's really about a passion of how to give back. My parents believed in volunteering. I think this is a great opportunity. I think Ames is a strong organization. It's got a solid foundation. And so I want to be a part of it and I want to give back. I think my business acumen, my board involvement, I've been on boards, served boards, reported to boards. And then I think just the overall relationships and connections with the business community and our community at large, I have a good sense about what we need to continue to be the amazing community that we are. When we talk about Greeley, we talk about Weld County, and then how we fit even in northern Colorado and the state. And I think we have the ability with Ames to continue to develop our individuals and our businesses.
Wonderful. Thanks, Marilyn. We're going to pose the same question back to you, Carl. Tell us more about why you've decided to run for a seat on the Ames board and what makes you a strong asset.
There we go.
There we go.
I also have a strong tradition of public service in my family. My dad was on the RE2 school board at Eaton years ago. As a matter of fact, when I graduated from high school. I have a passion for Ames and affinity for it because I have such a close connection. I also have a son who graduated the EMT Academy and the Fire Service Academy out there, and a daughter that took some classes out there as fill-in when the recent pandemic disruption interrupted her transfer from Wyoming to UNC. I was solicited by some constituents to run. But I think that I have a connection to legacy Weld County with the agricultural and small town, modern and urban Weld County with my decades of service in the Greely Police Department. And I've got a strong connection to small businessmen and independent owners, all of those who count on Ames for quality employees.
Thanks, Carl. We're going to pose the next question to you first and then Marilyn. Again, you'll have 1 minute for your response. What do you see as the board's current and changing role and responsibility to the institution and the community? I know that's a question you might want to elaborate on. Sorry for only the minute, but again, if you can help us answer that, that'd be great.
Yes, we could go on all day about several of these questions, but I don't see the roles and responsibilities of the board changing so much as the community itself changing. I mean, when I graduated from high school, if you wanted to get a great job, you went out to Kodak in Windsor and you got a job at the plant where they made photographic film. Well, I would have thought that decades later we would see this. So the change that needs to occur is to evolve and adapt and to strengthen programs as they do for the evolving economy and the evolving society. We've also got the issues of inclusion and diversity, which is great for the community. So I think that the evolving community is going to drive what Ames needs to provide, because they're going to have requirements that they need for educated workforce, a skilled workforce. And we need to adapt and a change on those programs for a fit for what
Thanks, Carl. Marilyn, I'll restate the question back to you. What do you see as the board's current and changing roles and responsibilities to the institution and to the community?
Great. I think first and foremost, we need to ensure that Ames remains that tremendous workforce engine for our communities and for our businesses. It is, as I said, quite the asset to be able to create that. As Carl stated too, it's really navigating changes in technology. It's navigating in what the new arena is. When we think about even this past year, how we had to pivot and create a whole new learning style when regards to virtual. It's really keeping up with trends and helping to lead that vision and strategy about how we are going to meet the needs of our students that we know today, as well as those future students. The community is changing. It's growing. Demands are going to change, and we need to be able to help guide that and provide a map for ensuring that we stay strong as a community college.
Thanks, Marilyn. Appreciate your answer on that. And on our final question, we are going to start with you again, and then we'll go back to Carl, and that will wrap our segment with our Ames Board of Trustees candidates. So Marilyn, our question back to you is, this role requires collaborative work with the CEO to learn more about issues from tuition rates and intellectual diversity to targeted research and decision-making. It's pretty broad. What makes you a good fit for this role, and how would you work to ensure positive outcomes for the college?
I think it's a teamwork with the board, with the community, and the CEO. The board really provides, I've been on boards and I've reported to boards in both capacities. So I've seen both sides of how boards work and what that creates for the CEO and the college as it is. I think when we start looking about how we provide that map of success, that's really the operationalization that has to occur with the CEO and the team. And so the board takes that level. The value for the CEO is to have a board who can provide the vision, the strategy, really move into that and that map of where we're headed. And that's the strength of the team. So I just look at it as it's teamwork, it's partnership, and how we continue to create a map for success.
Thanks, Marilyn. I really appreciate your answer there. Very thoughtful. Carl, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back to you. I'm just going to repeat it one more time since it's a long question. This role requires collaborative work with the CEO to learn more about issues from tuition rates and intellectual diversity to targeted research and decision-making. What makes you a good fit for this role, and how would you work to ensure positive outcomes for the college?
Well, one thing that's clear is they are not having us run as trustees to run Ames. They're having us run to hire somebody to run Ames. And I too have experience on boards, North Range Behavioral Health Board most recently. And I learned there where we hired a successful CEO, you pick the right CEO, you lay out parameters and goals and they get a vision statement. And then you stay out of the way and look at it from the 30,000 foot level and make sure that the community priorities are being addressed. Also had experience on the staff side of this with perhaps some council members years ago wanting to get their fingers into the weeds and into the details. And I had a good chief and a good city manager that made sure that didn't happen. Collaboration is my strong suit. I've always gotten along with employees and outside organizations. And teamwork is great. And I think that I can provide a diverse corner of that with my background.
Thanks so much, Carl. Well, I want to take a moment to just thank both of you. I'll ask you both to stay on during our District 6 candidates' answers as well, but want to thank you both for attending. Marilyn Shock and Carl Ohm, both running for Ames Board of Trustees. We were unable to be joined by Ryan Smith and Gene O'Hare today, but we certainly appreciate both of you being on, and we will be playing this later for our investors. So thank you again for being on today.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and shift now to our candidates for District 6 School Board. And again, we'll try to tackle this in alphabetical order, top to bottom, with the initial comments from each of our candidates. So Kyle, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to head and let you go first. And in your own words, if you can share with us a little bit about your run for office for D6.
Yeah, hey, thank you for having me. Yeah, so I've been just kind of mulling through my brain some sort of political thing maybe in my future as I grow up a little bit here. I just turned 35 this year and just kind of have that urge to do a little bit more to contribute to the community and society, and there's just an itch in me to help. So I kind of met with some friends. I ended up getting some recommendations, and it just seemed like the school board was just a spot that kind of fit my lifestyle, my interests. I have two children in university, a freshman and a fifth grader, and it just the world and that we're living in now, it just seemed like that'd probably be the place where I could make the biggest difference. I have a natural ability to stay level-headed, and high school is as far as I took my formal education. I have some minor vocational training and stuff, but I just have this natural ability to common sense and see clearly in normal situations and unnormal, extra maybe heated and emotional situations. So I just think that me as a person and my abilities, I could bring a lot to the board, and I think there's a lot of like-minded people that I would represent, that I'm going to click with, that we share the same values, that possibly aren't getting the same voice. And so, in my group of friends and my circle and my community in a whole, I think that I'm a good representative of the values that we want to instill in our children going forward.
Thank you for your comments, Kyle. With Araceli, are you on?
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Araceli Calderon. I am from Mexico. I am an American citizen, and I am a daughter of agricultural workers. In my life, education has made all the difference. I came to Greeley 12 years ago with my husband, Robert, because he got a job as a history professor at UNC. We have raised our daughter, Myrna, here in Greeley. Since kindergarten, she has attended District 6 schools. Now, she is a junior at Greeley West High School. We love the diversity of this community. It is schools, parks, and libraries. I am the program coordinator of the migrant education at Centennial Buses, and I have an MA in education from UNC. I am running for the school board to ensure all students have an excellent education that they can give back to their community. I am an advocate for parent involvement. Families, schools, and communities need to work together to make a strong education and successful students. This is not an easy task, but I'm sure that I can make a difference in the school board. So that's the reason that I am asking you to vote for me. This is my dream. I want to see parents and teachers and students to feel safe, welcome, and respected in their learning community. As a board member, I will bring more than 10 years of experience with the students and parents in Northern Colorado. At Centennial Buses Migrant Education Program, my efforts focus on advocating families' well-being and encourage, again, parent involvement. This work has given me unique insight into the lives, realities of the families in our district. Their stories inform my vision and commitment to celebrate the richness of this community. I bring my experience as an intercultural communicator and a bridge builder. Thank you again for the opportunity to take today.
Thank you so much for being here today and for your comments. Next, I would like to turn the mic over to Juanita.
Yes, my name is Juanita Martinez Rocha, and I am running for school board, as you know. I am a fourth generation Coloradoan, born and raised here. As a young widow with 4 children, I decided to return to school to broaden my horizons and my earning potential. I enrolled at Ames Community College at the age of 40, and I graduated with honors. I received a bridging scholarship to attend UNC, and I received my BA in elementary education with an emphasis on English as a second language. I graduated mid-year and was lucky enough to encounter a job with District 6. And I have worked with District 6 for 20 years. I've taught every grade level from kindergarten to 5th grade, except for 3rd grade. All of my children are products of Greeley Education Public System. I have 3 children that graduated from Greeley West, and I graduated from Greeley West as well. I tend to stay active in my educational. After I retired in 2018, I continued to teach with Inspired Solutions, which is a after school and a summer program for children with special needs, reading, math, whatever they need. I did that up until COVID. And so I do stay active in my community. I've been a past board member of Habitat for Humanity, and I've been on the selection committee, and I'm still currently a table captain. I have belonged to Hispanic Women in Wild County for 30 years, being a past president. I currently serve on the board of directors for A Woman's Place, and I am on the Judicial Performance Commission. I like to stay active in my community. I like to stay active with the educational part. I still keep in touch with a lot of the people that I went to school with. So my time is up.
Thank you so much for your comments today. Michael, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you next.
Well, good morning, Jamie. Thank you, and thank the Chamber for having this forum for us and inviting us on this morning. My name is Michael Matthews. I'm the president of the Board of Education for Greeley Evans School District 6. I am a pastor in Greeley, pastor St. Patrick, and I'm a parent of 5 kids in the district. I have 2 kids at Greeley Central. I have 1 at Greeley West. I have 2 at Chapelleau, and so I'm very familiar with schools. But I ran for the Board of Education 4 years ago because of what I saw in the education system and the needs that I saw in the education system and the hopes that I had for District 6. I'm originally from Mississippi, and I had a conversation with my mom a few years ago. There was a pastorate opening in my hometown. In many ways, it was a job I would have loved to have taken. I wasn't anxious to leave Greeley, but home is home. And I was talking with my mom, and she said, you can't take that job because there is no place for you to put your kids in school. And I know what she meant because I know what's happened to Mississippi because of its failure to invest in its public education system. None of my friends that I went to college with, hardly any anyway, live in Mississippi. There's some, for the jobs that are there simply aren't people who want to take them because the education system isn't strong enough. And I never want to have that conversation with my kids. I never want to tell them that they can't come back to Greeley because there's no place for them to put their kids in schools. And so I began, and our church began to be involved in District 6. At the time, we had made a significant investment in downtown Greeley, but we shifted our vision a little bit to include the school system at large. And so we began partnering with Shawsheen Elementary, and I began tutoring at Shawsheen, and I have tutored at Shawsheen for the last 10 years, well, at least up until COVID hit. I had tutored at Shawsheen for 10 years. And what I began to see is that this school system had there were much better things happening than people were saying. I'd heard all the negative stories when I first moved to Greeley, but what I began to see is that we had an incredibly dedicated group of teachers who were there long after 5 o'clock. I began to see that as my kids got into District 6 schools as well, that their teachers were incredibly dedicated and the system was serving them well. And I wanted to be a part of changing the narrative around District 6. I wanted people to know that my kids were becoming excellent writers and mathematicians and thespians, and I believe that we've done that, and I believe that we are, especially with the passage of MLO and bond, that we are headed in the right direction.
Thank you, Michael, for your comments today. Really appreciate it. Next, we'll hear from Rob.
Hi, thank you. And thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for having this forum where we all get a chance to speak and talk about what we want to do. I'm a lifelong Colorado resident. I grew up in Julesburg, Colorado, in the northeastern part of the state, where I graduated from high school. I then attended UNC, where I graduated in 1982 with a degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing. And I moved away to work in insurance in my hometown for a couple of years and then came back to Greeley in 1991. While here, I have started and sold several businesses. A business that I started and I currently run. I am a small business owner. I started a lawn business back in 1995 to allow my 2 boys, who also went through the district here, grew up and went to the district here, both have graduated, to earn some money and to learn and build a work ethic and save for their future. Today, my youngest son, who is 27 years of age, and I still currently run this business. During my time in Greeley, I've worked at KFK Radio with Joe Tennyson, Bob Byrne, and Mike Rice, who is currently the voice of the Colorado Rockies on 850 KOA. We did high school sports. We also covered UNC through their 2 national championships. During that time as well, I co-hosted the show on Channel 8 for almost 10 years called The Locker Room, where we interviewed high school athletes and coaches. I began subbing in the district in 2000, found a love for working with students and seeing their successes and, hurting when they have failures. I got hired at Northridge High School in 2002. I taught business, marketing, and ACE, which was a cooperative education where I had students that if they worked and I helped place them in a position where they worked, they got a credit for the class. They also got a credit for their work. So it helped a lot of students that possibly may have been short on credits to graduate. During my almost 20 years at Northridge High School, I was honored 6 times with the Spirit of the Bear Award, which was a senior, top 15 senior that felt like a teacher that had made a difference in their life. I was also elected to speak at graduation 3 times by the graduating seniors, which was quite an honor as well. During my time at Northridge High School in our ACE program, which was developed by myself, Jeff Cranston, who's the current principal at Greeley West, and Sue Musel, we incorporated into ACE financial literacy and life skills, which would help the students not only learn to manage their money, but also learn to rent a place to live, buy a car, buy a house, have a credit card, and learn how to manage their credit. Today, while still running my business, I feel like that my communication skills would be one of the strong points that I could bring to the Greeley Evans School District 6, and plus my contacts through the business community here that I've known throughout doing radio and television would help as well.
Thanks so much, Rob. We appreciate your comments today. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Daniel. Daniel, I think we've got you on mute. Always tricky on Zoom. May have had to step away for a moment. We'll come back. I'll actually turn it over next to John.
Good morning. Thanks for this opportunity. I've been involved in the Greeley District 6 schools for 15 years, ever since my kids entered kindergarten at Montfort Elementary. And now I have 2 seniors, one at West, one at Central, so divided loyalties, but still lots of fun. Being involved with the schools has always been a part of our family's existence in the district. I'm a firm believer that if your kids are involved, then you're involved. And if you're not, then you're not really doing them justice and not sort of pushing them to reach their highest goals and aspirations. I've served on PTOs, school accountability committees, the district accountability committee for 5 years, the teacher evaluation council. I've judged forensics meets. I've worked field days. I've organized outings. I've chaperoned band trips. There's probably not been a single week in the last 15 years that I have not been in one of the schools in District 6. And then for the last 4 years, I've been the tennis coach at Greeley Central High, which has been really rewarding just to know those young men and to get better insight into what they're thinking and what they're doing. And I feel that those experiences give me a lot of insight into what happens in the schools. I mean, I'm working with students on an almost daily basis. I'm working with teachers, whether it's just to get them available for my tennis matches or to help them out with their grades, or some of them may have family problems. So I think I'm intimately involved with my own kids, with other kids in the district. I think the other thing that I bring, besides just lots of experience within the district schools and administration, is I've worked as a professional historian for 30 years. And in that role, much of what I had to do was satisfy different, diverse, and often very angry elements in a room full of people by trying to explain how we could all come together to a common consensus. No one was going to get everything they wanted. And I was the person in the room most often looked to help sort of negotiate or mitigate or organize folks in such a way that we could come to a solution that satisfied everybody to the best of our abilities. And those were very, very contentious rooms. So I think the experience I gained in just sort of remaining the calming force, having all the information and facts necessary to advance an argument would go a long way to helping advance any discussion, whether it's with the board or community members or corporations and supporters in our community that we want to bring into sort of the district in terms of assisting and supporting us even further. And so I think with those skills and my time in the buildings, I'd be a great asset.
Thank you so much, John. We appreciate your comments. Just to make sure that I adhere to my comments and I continue to be alphabetical, I'm going to try Daniel one more time. And Daniel, I think we still have you on mute, but I'm going to turn it over to you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we've got you.
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me be part of your forum. I'm Daniel Reyes, campaigning for one of the 4 seats on District 6 board. The root of my campaign is simple: to ensure your children obtain a quality education. A quality education to me is a pillar to a fruitful future. I'm a 30-year resident of Greeley that has a passion for fostering an environment for children to thrive. Education wasn't my career path. However, I've been blessed to belong to organizations and committees whose missions are aiding in the success of students. I want to see each student accomplish goals they have set today and the ones that will arise in the future. Also, I believe equal education for all, but I have to acknowledge that the need of gifted students are just important as the need of other learners. I have been active throughout my life in school and community issues. Through our children and grandchildren had made me aware of the past and present school issues. My wife, Hope, was a paraprofessional with District 6 for 1 decade before she retired from social services. My daughter was employed at North Range Behavioral Health. She attended UNC. My grandson graduated from UNC. My daughter attended Colorado Northwestern Community College in Rangeley on a volleyball scholarship. And all 3 were involved in baseball, football, volleyball. As for me, I'm the baseball chairman of the Department of the American Legion, member of the American Legion Post 18 since 2004. I was a licensed realtor, but not active now. I served on the executive board for the American Legion, served on the City of Greeley's broadband focus group, and Presently, I'm serving on the advisory board for the Rodarte Center. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I retired from U.S. Postal Service, a member of the Luncheon Optimist Club. They focus on the youth of America. Served on the subcommittee on the Master Planning Committee. Selected to serve on Innovation 2020 and 2030. That was a community input from citizens. Selected to serve on the District 6 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee and still serving on that. Selected to the District 6 Naming Committee for the new K-6 Pre-Engineering School. And I support and contribute to the Greely Dream Team. Some of the issues I want to address is classrooms.
Daniel, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we're close to time, so I'll allow you just a moment here to wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to introduce Taylor Sullivan, who's on the call as well. And I'm so sorry to have to keep us on time here, but we're gonna be hard pressed to reach 9 o'clock and get through 1-minute answers to all these with all the candidates on. So I'm going to turn it over to Taylor.
Good morning. Thank you for putting this together. I, as well as everyone else on here, appreciate that time to let the community know who we are, as well as get to know the other candidates that are running. So I appreciate everyone's time. I am a Colorado resident, born and raised in Colorado, grew up out in the Eastern Plains. So my dad was involved with a lot of the farming community and whatnot. So grew up out there, which is a similar community to Greely. Moved here in '88 after I graduated high school. And through that time, I ended up getting married and was blessed with 5 kids. And like a lot of you, my kids were in a variety of all the schools here in the district. And all 5 of them actually successfully graduated from Greeley Central. And during that time, though, when they were hitting about middle school or high school, I realized that I needed to do something a little bit more productive to be that that push or that narrator to help them to do something past high school, to really think about what they were going to do with their education and whatnot. So I actually became very involved within the schools as well. I did a lot of volunteer work. I was on a lot of the different communities as well. And I got to know the teachers firsthand and had some really, really great relationships built with a lot of them, which I still hold true today. So I was a late bloomer. I ended up starting at Ames Community College, and I did do my associate's degree there. Loved the small community, loved what it taught me for my belief in my education and whatnot. And then I did transfer over to UNC. I successfully graduated there in 2016. So I ended up getting my Bachelor's of Science in mathematics with a secondary education. During that time, though, I was also working within the district during the time over at a school called GAP. That was the GAP program. It was for the kids that struggled and they weren't successful in their own school. So they were put over there for a lot of just extra support and whatnot. I did a lot of volunteer work in the different schools, Central and Northridge and West, for a lot of tutoring and whatnot. And then I also did all my student teaching, obviously within all the schools here. So I got to know a lot of the different teaching communications and abilities that each of the schools offered. When I did graduate, I started working over at University High School, and I was there for several years and really, really got involved with the kids. They have a great program there, which helped get the kids out into the community. And goodness, that 3 minutes goes fast. But, I am running because I am now remarried, and I have 2 amazing kids that I've just seen over the last 18 months what they're not being taught and versus what they are being taught. So it's my job as a parent to help support them, but also the other kids that are in the community to make sure that we're successfully getting them to their graduation.
Thank you for joining us today, Taylor. And our final candidate is Ray in the lineup for 3 minutes of comments, and then we'll head into our question portion. So Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you to the chamber and to everyone, all of you that are here this morning, for me to learn more about all of you as well. I unfortunately do not know all of you, so this has been a breath of fresh air for me. To see all the passion that we have for education for our staff and students in our community in Greeley. My name is Ray. I am not a Colorado native. I am a South Dakota native. Moved down to Colorado about 5 years ago after I graduated from South Dakota State University. Knew that I just needed a change of something, and then my choices were Nebraska or Colorado, and I think I chose the best of the two. So far, it has not disappointed. I'm currently sitting on the Board of Education for District 6 as one of the board members. Was elected 2 years ago. In these last 2 years, we have been faced with something that this pandemic that none of us even anticipated would show up. But our board and our district and our staff and our community have really rallied together and really shown us what collaboration, what teamwork, and what love for education can do, and how great it can be. I have been, I'm currently a captain in the United States military. I've been doing that for 13 years. I haven't been a captain for 13 years, but I have been serving for 13 years. I'm a veteran of Afghanistan, a parent of a current second grader at McAuliffe, and then a parent of a soon-to-be, hopefully, student. She's only 2 right now, but will be growing up and going through the schools in District 6. I love District 6. I love Greely Evans, and I love Colorado, and that is why I chose to pursue this 2 years ago and fell in love with it. In these last 2 years, we have done a number of great things in our district. We have expanded our concurrent enrollment, and we have adopted new curriculum for a lot of our core classes in the schools, and invested in our students and in our community through our expansion of internships and apprenticeship programs, and increased and improved our staff and student support with parent liaisons and student advocates, and of course, social workers. I know I didn't say this, but I'm also a K-12 educator myself, working in a neighboring school district as the district social worker. And so I am very connected and very involved in K-12 education, not only for myself, but for students and communities all around Northern Colorado. I did work in District 6 when I first moved to Colorado. Started first working for North Range Behavioral Health and supporting students that needed extra support behaviorally in the schools and collaborating with the schools, and then transitioned into a role with a program that was contracted with District 6, working with students who were disengaging or have disengaged from secondary schools. And I worked very closely with GAP program. So Taylor, I'm very glad that you wrapped that up. It's a great school. But we worked very closely with GAP and what at the time was called College and Career Prep, but is now called Next Greely, to help students pursue a path that maybe better fits their needs and their desires and their wants for their future. And that is what drove my interest in realizing that not all students fit this one size mold for what they need to be. And we need to create opportunities for them, and opportunities that allow them to expand their knowledge base and expand their interests and explore. It's unfair to expect our 18, 17-year-olds to know what they want to do with the rest of their lives without exposing them to other opportunities out there. And so that was one of the big passions that I have alongside of giving the families the extra support. A student is only successful as their family. And so we need to make sure that we support the whole child, starting with their family and ending with them. So that is why I decided to run. And that 3 minutes does go by really fast, but I do thank all of you for being here, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity. And I look forward to answering the questions.
It really does. Thanks, Ray. I have to mention it. I'm a native of Nebraska, but I am one of Colorado's greatest champions now too. So split loyalties. Thank you for your comments today. I will mention as well, I did receive note from Bill Gillard that he will not be joining us today. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you to the candidates who were able to join. And we're going to actually go ahead and go in reverse order. So Ray's been talking, but we're going to put another question to him right away here and work our way up through the alphabetical order. So Ray, for you, the first is always a constant. And I think maybe one of the most important questions we're going to ask today. Tell us more about why you've decided to run for a board seat in education, and what skills do you bring to lead?
I ran 2 years ago. I applied for the open vacancy 3 years ago and did not get it. So then ran 2 years ago and was elected to the board. My passion is in education. My family, everyone in my family works in education. They're all educators. And that is the path that I pursued. When I moved to Greeley, I realized the strength that we have in our community and the collaboration the love that we have for our community. And I know that we must invest in our children to invest in our community, because our students are what grow up and ultimately will be the functional members of our society. And if we don't invest in them and provide them the opportunities to learn and to grow, we are not helping ourselves at all. And so I ran for the board 2 years ago because I saw the great things that District 6 was doing. And I wanted to continue that path and continue to bring my lens and my insight as a current educator, a parent, as taboo as this is, somebody who is a millennial, to be connected with the students. I mean, I graduated only about 10 years ago from high school. So to be very connected with what our students are facing and the current issues and strengths and progresses. So that is why I ran, and that is why I want to continue to serve on the District 6 board.
Thank you. I know that time goes fast. Next, we're going to go to Taylor. Same question. Tell us a little more about why you've decided to run and the skills you bring. Oh, sorry. I think we've got you on mute.
Sorry, my fault. Yeah, well, I'm a lifelong learner, and I think I view this position through three different lenses. One, just being a student where I have attended the schools. It wasn't directly in the high schools or whatnot, but the colleges kind of give you an insight as to what the community is like as well here in Greeley. But as a parent, I view it differently than I did as a teacher. So I do know that a lot of the schools do offer a lot, but I also am seeing that we are kind of lacking in some of the sections of our education, as we need to really get the focus back into the standards and whatnot, and make sure that these kids are getting that solid baseline so that when they're moving up in the grades, that they've learned everything that they needed to in the prior year to become successful. So we also just need to focus on helping those kids see past the graduation date as to what their opportunities are. And so we need to get them more involved in the community, get them out there, seeing the what's available, and get them to understand that there is options. There's college, there's your trade schools and whatnot, but they need to learn what their passions are and what they're good at beyond just the textbook. So thank you.
John, we're going to move on to you next. Same question. Tell us a little bit more about why you've decided to run and what skills you bring.
I'm running because it seems sort of like the next logical step for me in terms of all of the work I'd already done with the district and in schools. My kids are finally sort of on their way out, so I feel like I have a little more time. They were always very active in the schools. I wanted to be committed to their activities. And so I feel like I have a little more time now that they're about ready to move on. I also, just because of my background and the way I was raised, we are very much taught to involve ourselves in the community and improving our communities. And to me, this is a way for me to pay back what I think has been a great education for my kids from the district. I've been incredibly pleased with what they've learned and what they're able to achieve and where their paths lie ahead of them based upon what they got from District 6. And so for me, this is, like I said, a logical step next, but it's also really a way to pay back and then at the same time pay forward what I think is a great district and with great opportunities for kids.
Thanks, John. Next, we'll go to Daniel. Same question, Daniel. Why have you decided to run? Tell us a little bit more about the skills you bring.
Well, I'm running, and my interest in running was, I was more concerned about the kids not graduating. We have 80% graduation rate, and that's probably average throughout nationwide. I want to know and work on why the other 20% isn't graduating. And I really think that's one of the topics that I would like to address with the board. I really believe that working with the Rodartic children there has brought me more passion to be involved in, to get them educated so they can proceed in life and have a good, outstanding future when they get a good education.
Thank you, Daniel. We appreciate your answer. Next, we'll go to Rob. Same question. Why have you decided to run and what skills do you bring?
Well, thank you. Having just retired in May, I've seen firsthand the needs of the schools, the staff and the students, and I want to be a part of trying to help them achieve the next step. As Daniel said, about 20% will not graduate or they won't go to a four-year school. I think it's important that we look and try to partner with trades to give somebody learn a trade. The new school out at Boomerang Golf Course at one point in time had 23 different trades. It would be great to get students out there to get a chance to experience those. I would like to be a part of working through the community to help that, to accomplish that.
Thanks for your answer, Rob. Next, we'll go to Michael. And Michael, I'll just restate the question. Why have you decided to run? And then also, what skills do you bring?
Well, as I said, 4 years ago, I ran wanting to help change the narrative around District 6 because I believe that the education my children were getting was so much better than what was being sold in the community. And I believe that we've done that. This time I'm running primarily because I think we have an opportunity to change the expectations of this community around District 6. We have 140 portable classrooms today, and that means that about 3,000 kids will go to school in a portable classroom. The bond issue that we passed in 2019, that will eliminate about half of those portable classrooms. I actually think it should be the expectation of parents that they get to send their kid to a school in a brick and mortar classroom. We've mentioned graduation rates. The graduation rate is really 82, 83%. We're higher than the state average at this point. There's absolutely work that needs to be done in that area, but that should be the expectation of this community, that our graduates are going to, we're going to beat the state average each and every year with our graduation rate. I think we have the opportunity over the next 4 years to not only to change things for the next 4, but for the next 40 years. And I want to take advantage of that opportunity.
Thanks, Michael. Same question, next candidate, Juanita. Can you tell us a little bit about why you decided to run and what skills you bring to that board seat?
Yes, I decided to run for school board because I believe in the public education system. My children and I are both products of the public education, and I have experienced it as a parent, student, and as a teacher. And I want to continue to give back to education. I believe that we have very strong teachers that believe in our children, and I want to be part of a system that supports and helps these dedicated teachers so that they could help our children reach their fullest potential. I think as a community and staff and educational leaders that we need to work together to invest in the future of our children. Let's see.
I think we've reached time. I'm so sorry. I know this goes really quick for all of you. And our final candidate with our question of why is Araceli. Wanted to ask you why you've decided to run and what skills you bring.
Thank you. I came here 12 years ago without any English. And my first job was in the District 6 as a parent coordinator. And I got the opportunity to work with parents, and I love it. And I really appreciate it. And I think this is my time to give back. I have the stories, the things that are happening in our community from a group of people who do not usually get the comments or get the opportunity to share the stories. As a storyteller and as a workshop teacher, I do a lot of parent involvement. And I realize parents, all parents, rich, poor, people who went to college, people who's not been in college, never, first generation, all of us, we want the best for our children. But we need to find an opportunity to collaborate, to listen other group of parents that find that we have the same dreams. We want the best for our children. I want to have the opportunity to share their stories. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Kyle, I'm going to ask you for a response to this question. The first is always a constant, and I think the most important of questions. Can you tell us a little more about why you've decided to run for a board seat in education and what skills you bring to the table to lead?
Yeah, so kind of the same thing again as my opening statement. I wanted to make a difference. I think that my kids and our kids, my friends' kids, and strangers' kids, just the community in general, need solid leadership and level-headed, common sense, approach from the leadership of the board, and just to kind of instill the values as Greeley as a community as a whole, the district sticks every area, that whole it's a special place, and there's a reason that we kind of picked this to raise our kids. And I think that as that it takes a village to raise a child, that mentality is strong here, and I think that that is the type of values that I'm going to bring. I think that my level-headed approach, common sense, and just my values in the different situations in the world that we live in. I think that I'm a good fit for the people that I would represent, and I think that it would just bring a fresh, youthful. I'm on the younger side of politics, and I just think it's time for people like me in my position that can help and have the same values as I do to kind of stand up and make a difference.
Thanks, Kyle. Adam, again, this is an incredibly important question, I think, to the business community. If I hear there is one challenge right now, workforce certainly rises to the top of all the things we're tackling. What do you believe is the school district's role in preparing for the future workforce in our community?
Yeah, so this one is dear to my heart. I am a small business owner in the community. I believe the school district is basically the foundation of our workforce going forward. And in that, as far as people, that's probably one of the most important functions in a functioning society of a adult. So as we're training our children to be adults and instilling values in them, I think it's a huge part, and I think the district is front line. So that just the values that you can teach and instill while they're young, it's probably one of the most important aspects of a society. Top three for sure. That's debatable, but just that function is you can't really have a society without the workforce. So I have a giant plethora of knowledge of what is needed for a successful workforce. I know what employers are looking for. I've been an employee. I think that side of the world is maybe not talked about enough, and that is a super important aspect of the district's functions as far as getting our kids to where society needs functioning members of the community.
Thank
And
you.
I'll give that question back to you, Araceli.
Thank you, Jenny. The role of the district is to foster excellent education, ensure graduation, and prepare students in the many paths that they might pursue. After graduation, they might go straight to work, join the military, or pursue higher education. Our career pathways help students develop skills in schools with internships that prepare them for the workforce. District 6 has been a leader in the state, helping students explore career options in business, healthcare, agriculture, art, and many other fields. The Chamber's support has been fundamental. The Chamber's business connection has significantly advanced training and internships. Thank you, and I hope to see the partnership continue.
Thank you. That same question will go to Juanita next. What do you believe is the school district's role in preparing the future workforce in our community?
Well, I had the pleasure of working as a community member on the Innovation 2020 Strategic Plan. And as Araceli mentioned, the Pathways career is really great because not all students are college bound. So that gears them into some kind of trade. And the district continues to make these strategic partnerships with the community in order to better the education for our children. I want to give my expertise as an educator and as a community person to help hire and retain more teachers that also reflect the population of our students, which is 60% Latino. I believe that District 6 is on the right path of doing lots of amazing things. And I just want to take part in the trajectory of Innovation 2030 because there are so many things that they are going back to what we had before that we had to lose due to funding, but like counselors and psychologists in the schools with all of the problems that we have right now facing our youth, I think that's imperative.
Thank you so much for your answer. Next, we'll move to Michael. Same question. What do you believe is the school district's role in preparing future workforce in our community?
Thanks, Jamie, and thank you for asking this question. So often people act like the school system is there to do something good for kids, and it is, but it's primarily there to do something good for us, for the community, and to prepare a workforce for the next generation. So when Ray and I helped create the strategic plan, we wanted to tie everything back to college and career readiness. And so college readiness, it looks a little bit different than it did 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you simply needed a high school degree. 20 years ago, college was about a fourth of the cost that it is right now. And as a parent of 5 kids, the cost of college greatly concerns me. What we want to do is continue to provide opportunities, not just for kids to go to college, but to make it more affordable. And you do that with AP classes, concurrent enrollment classes, making sure that kids are coming out of District 6, not only prepared for college, but actually having some college under the belt. With career readiness for kids, and we recognize that the majority of our kids probably won't go to college, but we want to continue to expand career pathways, and we've done that over the last 4 years. We just introduced a new manufacturing pathway at Central. We want to expand internships like the one that we just introduced with Vestas. We want to expand industry certificates, and we have the industry engineering certificate you can get at Northridge through that program, or culinary arts certificate that you can get at Northridge. We just need to continue to expand what we're doing to make sure that those kids are college and career ready.
Great, thank you so much. Next, we'll extend the same question over to Rob. Rob, help us understand the school district's role in preparing for a future workforce in our community.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. I think the role of the district in the workforce is critical. Having worked in a program where I placed kids in businesses, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of those business owners, those business managers, find out what the needs, what they would like to see the kids, the skills they would develop. One of those would be communication. I would like to see communication come back into the schools. I think no matter what part of life that you're in, if you can communicate with people, you have a tendency to be successful. I think our students are our greatest natural resource. The best investment that we can make is time with those students, working with those students, or working for those students. Another reason why I've chosen to run for the board. And I think it's also critical to help them become very productive members of society by teaching them these life skills and also incorporating financial literacy.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Next, we're going to turn the same question over to Daniel. Daniel, is your chance to answer. What do you believe is the school district's role in preparing the future workforce in our community?
Well, I think the district's role, number one, is to include more STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and maybe even include STEAM as science, technology, engineering, art, and math. I believe that future jobs will rely on technology like STEM. Technology, we have entered the 21st century. We have to be prepared for that. I know a lot of kids aren't college bound, but we need to create some vocational jobs for them too. We need to expose career options at an early age, particularly in K through 8. I think to prepare students across the board for their to teach them the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they will need to meet future needs. And lastly, I really believe that we have to partner with employers, local industries, community organizations to help us out on how to educate these kids and let them know about the careers that are there for them if they choose so. And lastly, is if students are going to invent our future, then we need to work hand in hand to reinvent the way they are learning.
Thank you for your comments, Daniel. Next, I'd like to turn it over to John. Same question. What do you believe is the school district's role in preparing future workforce in our community?
I think along with producing, good, upstanding, sort of engaged citizens in our communities, workforce development is the most important task that the schools face. I think others have stated very well that, the Career Pathways program has been great. So the college preparatory coursework that we're allowed to provide is great. I'd like to emphasize that our partnerships with Ames and UNC have been phenomenal, and I'd like to see those expand. But I'd also like to see us expand into not necessarily maybe the development of more pathways, but I joke all the time that no matter how many technological advances there are in the world, I'm still going to need a good plumber at some point. And I'd like to see us partner with even smaller businesses and smaller operators, even for some of those fields, because that's not necessarily, something you can get at Ames as a plumbing certification or something. So I'd like to see some more apprenticeships and things like that in some of those technical fields, along with what we're already doing.
Thank you, John. Next, we're going to turn it over to Taylor. We're going to be tight on time today, so if you can please stick to your minute. Tell us a little bit about what you believe the school district's role is in preparing future workforce.
Well, I'm going to bring it from the kids' point of view. So when I was teaching, the kids several would complain about one day they had to, ask permission by raising their hands just to go use the restroom. And then the next day after graduation, they had to know what they were going to do for the rest of their lives. And I don't feel like we have that great preparatory for them. We need to get the community involved and have some internships, have some job shadows set up for the kids so they can explore those different options. Because like John said, we're going to need those plumbers, we're going to need those electricians and whatnot. And the trade schools are, great ways to get these kids set up educationally, where they're giving back to the community, where they're not going to be going into a lifelong debt and still be successful in their life. So just getting the community more involved in it so that these kids can, kind of foresee some of what's out there and have a better understanding and not go into it blinded, because a lot end up heading into the college and then, after 1 year school, they don't have that passion for what they're pursuing. And then, they've got thousands of dollars of debt already at that point. So.
Okay, thank you. And the same question over to Ray, and then Ray, we're going to wrap with our final question to you first. So tell us a little bit more about the school district's role in preparing future workforce.
Well, I think it's important that we mention choice. Choice is important to provide choice and option for all of our students. They should be invested in be able to say what they want. And it's important to mention what we are doing. We do have those partnerships with plumbers and electricians and media and mass media and communication companies and different factories around the area. We partner with over 35 different occupations in the Greeley Evans area. And I think that it's important that we recognize that we provide that opportunity for all students. When we say in District 6, that all means all, we truly mean all students. We don't care if you're rich or poor, you're brown or white, what side of town you live on. We want to give you that opportunity. If you want to pursue a path and you want to pursue an occupation, we want to provide that opportunity to you. We have a great partnership with Ames in our concurrent enrollment and the Ames to UNC program. We work very closely with them to provide that opportunity and to expand that knowledge to our students, to let them know that there are options out there. And maybe we need to do a better job at communicating that with students, but the options are out there. And I think we need to continue to push those options and continue to provide those resources. We are doing great work with our Innovation 2030 and we will continue to do great work in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you for your answer. I will just insert that the Chamber shares in all of your vision to pour into our next generation leaders to ensure Greeley's in good hands. And I'm going to wrap with our final question today. I'm going to start with Ray and we'll work our way back up. Again, 1 minute to answer each of these. How do you believe the Greeley-Evans School District 6 should plan for the growth of the community it serves?
Yes, so we came together 2 years ago, over 200 community members, business owners, students, staff, board members and stakeholders to start the groundwork and the foundation work for Innovation 2030. And that is what's important, is that we create that foundation and we get the input from everyone in the community, regardless if you're involved in education or not. It is your community. We are all in this together, and collaboration is super important. And so the work that we will be doing in Innovation 2030 from this point forward, at least until 2030, is important, and it is crucial. And it is important that we have a board that supports that. It is important that we have community members that are also bought into that. And so I do believe that District 6 and Greeley, Evans and Ames and UNC and every organization, it is our job to work together collaboratively to expose this plan and to also communicate this plan with everyone out there in the community.
Thank you so much, Ray. We're going to move to Taylor. Same question. How do you believe Greeley-Evans School District 6 should plan for the growth of the community it serves? Oh, I think we've got you on mute. Sorry.
I thought I clicked the button. Well, I'm a firm believer that the growth in our community needs to pave its own way. We need to find solutions that do not include continuing to ask our retired citizens and other people living on a fixed income to be expected to absorb those increased taxes when they no longer have kids actually within the school district. One solution comes to mind is what many school districts across the state are actually doing. They're working with a partnership within their local municipalities to develop the new codes that require land dedication or cash in lieu of master plan developments to help prepare for schools that need to educate the kids in those developments. I don't believe that this is happening within our district, but we could create that conversation and get our Greeley and Evans city councils involved in those as well.
Thank you, Taylor, for your answer. Next, we'll go to John. Same question. How do you believe District 6 should plan for growth in the community it serves?
I think that the district needs to actively engage. I know they do to some level, but it needs to step up, I believe, in talking to the Chamber of Commerce, to real estate agents and land developers. We have 7 new subdivisions that have just been approved by the City Council for growth and development on the west side of Greeley. That's going to greatly change what is required in terms of new schools, new teachers, new students. It also should be noted that some of those will be in the Greeley city limits, but will not have Greeley schools in them. They are actually in Windsor or Eaton or Milliken school districts. So that presents a unique challenge as well as parents look to school of choice options that may want to send them our direction. So we need to promote our schools in a way that gives them that option rather than just a default to their natural school district. So I think we just need to engage more with our community leaders to keep abreast of what's going on and be prepared for the changes that are coming.
Thanks, John. Next, we'll go to Daniel. Daniel, same question. How should D6 plan for the growth of the community it serves?
Excuse me. First of all, in 1984, the population was around 60,000. Today, it's around 100,000. Okay. So to me, I think we know that it's going to grow. We have to look ahead of acquiring tracts of land instead of waiting for the immediate needs right now. And we have to have a close relationship with the school boards has to have a close relationship with the planning commission, have a comprehensive plan, maybe look ahead to see what the population will be, but we know it will grow. Look at the past record of past school enrollment. That kind of predicts the future of our enrollment today and in the future.
Sorry, Daniel, I think we've probably reached our time. I apologize for interrupting, but thank you for sharing your answer with us today. Rob, we'll turn it over to you next.
Thank you. As Greeley grows, obviously, we're going to get more students. Being a recently retired teacher, I see a need for the district to attract and retain good teachers. Working with the community as well, they can do that through the business programs. I've seen a lot of teachers that have had to have second jobs just to help support their families. The step that the district made by raising the starting salary of the teachers was fantastic. They also need to learn to work with we need to try to work with some of the real estate developers and the apartment complexes so that when we get good teachers, we can retain those good teachers, therefore furthering the education and helping the students along as well.
Thanks, Rob. We're going to turn it over to Michael next. And same question to you. How should D6 plan for growth of the community it serves?
First, we need to make sure that we capture that growth as a community, right? We know that Northern Colorado will grow in the next 50 years. It will only grow in Greeley if this school system is strong. As I've already said, parents don't move to communities where the school system isn't strong. And I'm proud of what we've done in terms of changing the narrative around this district, but there is still a lot of work to do. Now, if we do capture that growth, what do we need to do to make sure that we're planning for that? Our facility master plan identified $1 billion of needs in facilities. Now, we took a huge chunk of the huge bite out of the apple with the last bond issue that was $395 million, but will actually give us about $500 million because of the favorable bond pricing. And we're building new schools for the first time. The Toynton Academy of Pre-Engineering will be the first new school built in over 20 years that's not a replacement school. And so that's one way that we've done that. We've expanded some other schools and gotten a few more kids out of portables. Then there's just no way around it. This community will need to pass another bond issue, sometime in the next 10 years, and that we will need to build probably an addition at Northridge. We'll probably need to build a smaller high school somewhere just to accommodate all the students and to keep them in classrooms.
Thank you so much, Michael. And next, I'll turn it over to Juanita. Same question. How should we plan for the growth our community is seeing through D6?
Well, we have a good start on that with the new schools. Thanks to the bond issue, we have new schools. We have the addition to Krista McCullough. We need to continue these community partnerships. We need to invest in other ways of finding funding. I know the bond issue and the mill levy overrides are very important as well. We just need to keep working hard to retain teachers. Sometimes they come into the district and because of the low pay, they leave to go to someplace more experienced. So we need to make sure we have enough teachers to keep up with the growth so that our classrooms are not like 30, 40 children. We need to attract and hire more teachers. We just need to have more outreach with the community and plan strategically on how we're going to make more money and ways to bring revenue for education. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final question to Araceli, and then we will be wrapping our forum shortly. How do you believe the Greeley-Evans School District should plan for the growth of the community it serves?
Thank you. I think everybody already said it, but I'm gonna say it more. Evans and Greeley are projected to grow significantly. The strategic plan 2030 aims to align district resources with the changing needs of our students. The facility master plan will meet growth through maintenance, renovation, and school replacement projects. The 2030 plan also seeks to invest local, state, and national resources to ensure equitable and quality learning environment for students. A renewable for a mill levy override will provide local revenue to support students' learning. It is important to make these goals and challenges clear to members of the community. Our communities will continue to grow, so will our students' needs. As it invests in the future, District 6 has shown itself to be a trustworthy custodian of our community's investment in education. Continued transparency and clear communication will strengthen our partnerships and commitment to educational excellence. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and repeat our third question. How do you believe Greeley Evans School District 6 should plan for the growth of the community it serves?
Yeah, the growth of the community coming is, I think, is exciting, and I think it's going to be plentiful, and I think that it's a super important aspect. There's a multiple factors that are going to play into this, but basically, the district isn't for profit, but at the same time, it needs to be ran at maybe more like a business, and smartly. There's fiscal responsibility and forward-looking values that we need to kind of keep intact and just stay level-headed, responsible, and ahead of the curve a little bit, because this is a great place and there's going to be a lot of growth. And I just think that they've done a pretty good job. I think just, so far, just with the debt and the different types of, the bonds and all that different type of financing and stuff that's available to government entities like this. So just being ahead of the curve, forward thinking, and fiscally responsible, not being reckless with the tax money and stuff is going to be a huge part of the growth, and being able to move quickly and adapt, because this is a good place and it's going to continue to grow at a rapid pace, and we need to be prepared.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Brings us to the close of our special edition of Chamber Coffee Common Grounds. If you listened in today, this will be recorded and replayed on social media, on our website, and in our newsletter for our investors. First, I want to thank all our candidates on here today, truly. We appreciated learning about your vision and plans for the office you seek. We appreciate your willingness, should you be elected, to serve this community, and we revere all the work you'll do on its behalf. The Chamber would welcome the opportunity to work with you to help our community thrive. If you're one of our investors or community member, we hope today's forum gave you some insight into our candidates and educated you on the issues that are important to you. I want to also note to our candidates, we're going to be sending out a candidate questionnaire, and we'd encourage each of our candidates on the forum to turn that in and give our audience a chance for them to expand on the important topics we covered today. There'll be about 7 questions, and we'll be sending that out to you later today. So another chance in written form, not in this short form, to get out a few more answers on the issues we know are important to you. It's really hard to cover them in 3 and a single minute. So thank you again for your patience as we move through that today. A final thought for all of you who may be watching: please vote. Use your voice and vote to make decisions that make our community better. Also remember, the political process does not end on Election Day. We all need to stay involved in the process to make our city a great place to live. So thank you once again to the candidates, and thank you to everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.